Okay, today we're going to look at the unitary method. Now the unitary method is a method for solving proportion problems, and it is a method that we use to find out what one item is before we work out the rest, and that's where the word unitary comes from. We've got a unit, which means one, in there. So I've got 3 examples to show us how the unitary method can be applied. They get more difficult as time goes on. So a nice one to start with: if I walk 24 kilometers in 4 hours, how far will I walk in 7 hours? So it's not an obvious relationship between 4 and 7. So the one piece of information that's really useful is how far you would walk in 1 hour. And that's why it's called a unitary method. So we find out how far you'd go in 1 hour first. So in 1 hour, you do 24 kilometers divided by 4. So you'd go 6 kilometers. And once you've got 1 hour, you can work out any number of things, but we want 7 hours. So it's going to be 7 lots of 6, which is 42 kilometers. So the fact this is the unitary method, that's why we calculated the 1 hour, and we're going to be using that method all through. So if 8 pence cost £2.64, what's the cost of 5 pence? Before we can work out what 5 pence are, it'd be really useful to know what 1 pen costs. So 1 pen is going to be £2.64 divided by 8. Now you may be able to work this out in your head, or a written method, or maybe even a calculator, and it turns out to be £0.33 or 33p. And so once you've worked out what 1 pen costs, to work out 5 pence, you simply multiply this amount by the number of pens you've got, in this case 5. So 33p times 5 is £1.65. The final one: 8 loaves of bread make 18 packed lunches. How many lunches can be made from 20 loaves? So what I want to work out is how many packed lunches can be made from 1 loaf. So we do 18 divided by 8. So 18 divided by 8, it's not a whole number, so this one's slightly more tricky because you've got fractions or decimals. I'm actually going to stick with fractions here. I'm going to simplify that fraction to 9/4. If you want, you could change it to 2 1/4 or 2.25 if you had your calculator, but actually working with fractions can be easier. So now I want to work out how much I can make from 20 loaves. So I do 20 multiplied by 9/4. This is why it's slightly easier. So I get 180/4, which is 45 packed lunches. So each time using this unitary method, finding out how many lunches 1 loaf made, or how much 1 pen cost, or how much you go in 1 hour is the key to solving the problem.